I went to a pro show and there was, I'm not going to name names, but there was two well-known black heavyweights fighting each other at Excel Centre in London, and believe me, I ran out of the place. I felt like going to see the promoter saying to him, right, I'll tell you, I can have my money back. You know what I mean, you robbed me, absolutely died. And you know, and I've been to shows like what we have, and the entertainment's been absolutely fantastic from two boys who have never boxed before. You know, but I stood toe to toe and had a proper punch up. You know, but then you're talking about the skills. You know, when we had Floyd Abbott boxing, Floyd Abbott, you know, ex-British champion, ex-European champion, fought John Molina for the world title. You know, you ain't going to get much better on a semi-pro unlicensed show than a fighter like that.
Over the last 10 years, it's become more apparent that people want to go into something other than amateur, but not professional. Amateur stops at 34 years old. That leaves a great big scope, 10, 15 years of people still in their prime that want to do something. So we're quite happy as a boxing club to start training people for unlicensed, but we have our own strict rules as well. You know, we're not having any of the big fat don't want to train people. We just want to get them in. You know, we want to train them to the best of our ability, want them to be the best that they can be before they get in, or we're not putting them in. And once all that criteria is filled, then we feel that we've done a good enough job, and then they can be happy with their performance. Anybody that's not 100%, we wouldn't put into the fight themselves.
Well, professional boxing's obviously a lot better, although you do see some like good lads in unlicensed boxing. The amateur people, I mean, I don't know about nationwide, but down here they don't like us. They've had a letter out. They don't want anyone associating with unlicensed boxing. They won't box amateur again if they do. You know, there seems to be a real big rivalry.
Boxing's boxing, you know what I mean? Amateur, pro, boxing's boxing, you know what I mean? Once a fight comes to fight, you know what I mean, they come to fight. The things that sometimes some unlicensed fights are not very, they go wild, a bit wild, you know? And that's what usually happens, but boxing's boxing, you know what I mean?
The amateurs don't want anyone fighting for unlicensed because they want to keep them for themselves. They know that they don't pay them nothing, you know. The chances of like some amateur trainer down here finding like someone who's going to go on to be a pro, like the odds of that are astronomical, aren't they? They're not going to find one, you know. So like they go and sell 50 or 60 tickets with us or with anyone in unlicensed boxing, they're going to earn some money. Whereas poncing about with an Edgar, they're not going to earn anything, are they? Apart from a night out for the family and a bit of crap dinner.
Standards, some fights are really, really good standards, you know. Some really good fights, and some fights are a bit disgraceful. Yeah, but the last few shows have been really good, you know. Honestly, the last few shows, the standards have been really good, better than what you see in other shows, you know. I went to Brentwood and watched a few fights down there. I was appalled, you know what I mean. But I could only say a lot of guys who come to see us now are really good.
Well, you know, let's say a man's got to do what a man's got to do. I'm not for the unlicensed boxing. You know, I like to do it strictly for medical reasons, and for far as I know, there isn't medical checks are not really done. So I'm not a supporter of unlicensed boxing, but if guys want to do it, it's entirely up to them. You know, I'm not going to say, you know, you can't do it. Everyone's got free to do what they want to do. But it's not something I would go into myself.
It's good in a sense. I mean, myself, I had 60 amateur fights 10 years ago. I'm 35 now. I'm a bit too old to turn professional. but you know, it gives people like me a chance to get back in the ring and show what they can do. There's no discrimination about your age or anything. You know, as long as you can box, you know, you can do it again, and you know, it gives me so much fulfilment to get back in the ring again at my age. You know,
I'm 35 to be honest, yeah, and not good promoter wants to sign with you when you're that age. They make excuses and all that, and I'll put them on the hustle. You know what I mean, of turning pro. You know what I mean, when you turn pro, you have to at least have £700 for your medical. That comes with all the necessary requirements. You know what I mean. So everyone thinks if I have to pay £700 to box, you know what I mean, how much am I going to earn? You know, how many times am I going to fight? So that puts you off first time. Think about the license fee of £700, the medical and all that. You know what I mean? It's like a daytime robbery, to be honest, yeah. And people get put off because of that.
These guys, you know, like they've been retired and they've got an entourage. They've got people who'll come and see them. You know, and then like all of a sudden they're on the scrap heap. Now, if they've got another 10 years in them, kids, mortgages, that sort of thing, you know, they want to fight on. Well, why shouldn't they be allowed to?
Unlicensed fighting is very, as I've just said, is sort of akin with the amateur. You've got shorter rounds, yes, and there's just as much excitement in it. You tend to have short, sharp, quick shots, if you like. There's a lot more knockouts, maybe. You know, and you can see people with skill that quite obviously need 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds, and you sit there and think to yourself, you know, God, if that guy had another 2 rounds, he'd win this fight. But he hasn't. He's got 3 rounds, and that's exactly the same as amateur. And because it's the same as amateur, it's pulled back into that realm. It's in that boundary, just like the amateurs. So, yes, you do get as excited. I get as excited watching one of the unlicensed fights as I do with an amateur fight. Maybe not so with a professional fight, just because of the longevity of the fight. You know there's another 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds to go. Of course you're going to be more excited. If it's a good fight, you want it to carry on, you know, as I'm sure the boxers do. But no, it's 3 rounds, and I think that with the level of fitness that these guys have, 3 rounds is perfect for them. And that's what they're aspire to. You do see some talent there and wonder why they're doing that. And then I come to the conclusion they're doing that because what they're trying to do is gain a lot of experience and use that over and above their sparring that they're doing in the gym, and then maybe take that step into the professional ring. But yeah, there's a lot of talent out there.
What stops some guys becoming professional fighters generally is their level of ability, really. You know, a lot of these guys come in here for fun. You know, they don't do it because they want to go anywhere. They do it because they want their mates to have a nice night out. They want to earn a couple of quid, get a win, and they often fight friends actually. And that's what we've seen here at this venue, and it's great fun.
Pay 25 quid to go and watch a pro fight. You're going to sit there for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rounds, and you're going to watch 12 rounds of jabbing and bobbing and weaving, and people who have got the real bloodlust will rather pay 45 quid and watch boxing that's 3 rounds, and people are actually going to fucking go hell for leather for 3 rounds. People pay to go and watch people get knocked out. That's why that's one reason I go to watch unlicensed boxing, to watch people go kill. I like boxing to be more savage. I think the ferocity brings the people come to see the fighters be ferocious. You know what I mean? Lenny McLean, he was a good fighter. He was because of the presence he carried with him. Same as Roy Shaw. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That draws people in.
The atmosphere is mental. I mean, the first fight I had, you know, at first I weren't shitting it, but when the bell went, that's when your legs start to go. You panic, you go in as fast as you can. I did that, but cardio seemed to fuck me up at the end of the day.
I won't lie, it's not nice. That's the worst bit of it. I think I fainted a couple of times on the way from the changing room to the ring. That's just fucking, you know what I mean? It's like you're gonna shit yourself, but 1,000 times worse. Your heart's thumping, you know what I mean? And you look down at your chest and you can see your chest shimmering from your heartbeat, and like, and you get in the ring, then everyone, then it sort of goes then, like sort of it all takes over, and then you just got to like get in your head that you've got to fucking hurt the geezer who's standing over there. You know what I mean? Get in there and hurt him.
Nerve-wracking, awful. Because I'm with him all the time before the fight.
When I walk out of changing rooms, I think it was the time before last, and I was trying to look where she was, and I caught a fucking glimpse of her, and I thought, fuck me, you look worse than I fucking feel.
It was so nerve-wracking.
You'd gone white, whiter than me.
Yeah, I don't move until he's had his fights.
Well, basically, everyone I've hit sort of fallen over, right? And I mean, he's been in the ring with some really, really good fighters, sparred loads of rounds with top names, and he just basically, you know, he messed me about. He was laughing at me, telling me I couldn't hit, and you know what I mean, just doing old tricks what an old pro does, you know. A lot of the time I was falling for it, but you know, he was trying to draw me in, to lure me in to a false sense of security, and I wasn't having any of that. I sort of boxed clever, I boxed smart. I was very disappointed that I couldn't treat the fans to a knockout, because I sold the most tickets there, and I really wanted to look, you know, good, but I won at the end of the day, and that's all I could do, you know.
Step back. Go on, Stoten. Go on, son. Work that jab. Work on the jab.
You know, you can hit a guy with your best shot, and you know, even if it really hurts him, he'll smile at you, and you think to yourself, oh no, I've hit him with my best shot, and he's like, you know, he might inside be feeling, but yeah, a lot of them, especially old pros like that, they do all the old tricks, laugh at you, wave you in, try and get you to come in, and then boom, you know, they knock you out. And you've got to be very, you've got to sort of shut it off, you know. And this guy, he kept hitting me around the back of the head on the break, and it messes all your balance up when you get hit there.
Go on, Peter. Watch it. Break some off and step back. Work your jab. Work behind your jab, please. Work your jab. That's it.
I'm going to be the next big name. I've got the heavyweight title coming up next, vacated by Colin Wilby. I'll have three different titles at 2 different weights. I'll be the super cruiserweight champion and the heavyweight champion. No one's ever done that. And I'm going to defend that for the next 5 years and be unbeaten. And I'm going to give it back a new glitz to it all.
Everything from the jab. That's it. And again, work the jab. Go on, Peter. Just do your thing. That's it. Come on.
I think in the future there'll always be a little bit of unlicensed boxing, but I think it's had its heyday. You know, when it was like illegal to do and all that, that was half of its appeal. And because it was illegal and there was no rules around it, you did get better fights. And I'm afraid now, while there's the cage fighting around, where they're allowed to do mixed martial arts and all that, the unlicensed boxing is going to come second to that, I'm afraid. Now, it's had its heyday. They'll always do it. They'll always be it. And you'll have the bare knuckles at the odd gypsy sites and all that. But it's been and had its heyday, you know. With the actual petering out of the unlicensed game, right, it's lost a lot of individual stars, and it's lost a lot of places that actually became famous, like for instance Caesar's. You know, that was a mecca. You know, it was a mecca for the fight game. And I for one will miss Caesar's a lot, and I think an awful lot of other people will. And it was a very sad day when it closed down for especially for the boxing fraternity. It made a lot of people rich. The place made a lot of people famous. It ended a lot of people's lives going to Caesar's, and it made a lot of people's lives. You know, the actual club itself breathed. It lived. It was a person. You know what I mean? It was a person, not a building, and it's like a person dying. Caesar's closing. It's like a genuine funeral, and that is the God's honest truth. However pathetic that might come out, Caesar's was a person, a living person, and when that place shut, it was like a funeral. In its day, as it was actually turning not illegal but unlicensed, it was the most exciting thing out there to watch.